Are you using the right two-handed backhand for your game? Is such an important question. This really is what I think is the difference between players like Nadal and Djokovic, why they're so successful maybe at one surface a little bit more than the other, and it really balances out. And I'm going to explain why, and also why it's so important for you to train the right way that fits your game style. So you're probably asking, what am I talking about? When you look at Djokovic and Nadal, and we're just going to isolate the backhand, they both have two-handed backhands, but they use it in a different way. Technically, yes, the fundamentals are still there, but the mindset behind the two-handed backhands are extremely different. And because of this difference, it's really led one player to be more successful on one surface than the other, and I'm going to show you exactly why. So let's talk about the differences between surfaces so we really understand what I'm talking about. So when we think about the different surfaces from the 4 Grand Slams, we think about grass at Wimbledon, we think about Australian, the US Open, and then you have the French Open. French Open being the slowest, which makes the ball bounce higher, and grass maybe being the fastest where the ball bounces lower. And then next being the Australian Open, where it's a medium, and I have it here, it's a medium paced court with a lower bounce. Really key to understand lower bounce. Where the US Open is actually a faster paced court with a higher bounce. So when we understand that, let's take a look at the records of Djokovic and Nadal. So I have Djokovic here on the left, and we will look at it, and if you kind of take that model we just did and think about it from fastest court to slowest court and the bounce height, we look at Wimbledon where he's won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 compared to Nadal's 2. So you can definitely tell that's the faster court. We go to the Australian Open, Djokovic has won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, where Nadal's won 1. Now, as we go to the US Open, Djokovic has won 1, 2, 3. Nadal's won 1, 2, 3, 4. He's got one more. But the big difference here is the French Open, where the ball is a lot slower. The surface is a lot slower, where Djokovic has just won 1. And I think Nadal is on number 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Again, technically the same shot, but how they use it in their game very different. And let's go there now. When we think about how Djokovic uses his backhand, he uses his backhand to hit through the court, which is going to be more advantageous on a court that's a court that's faster, where the ball goes through the court more. Whereas if you use more spin on a faster court, it doesn't have the same reaction. So as we look through Djokovic's technical side of his strokes, the fundamentals are all there. Great unit turn, he drops the racket under the ball, and as you see him do his follow through from contact, before contact to contact on a follow through, you really see him extend outward through the ball. But when we look at Nadal, what we're going to see is something a little different. Same fundamentals in the take back, but what you're going to really see is this extreme drop in the racket, and you see it here where the racket head is going to have to really come up. He's having to use more exaggeration with his right arm to create more spin on the ball, and you can really see how drastically he comes up and through the ball, creating more spin. And you're probably saying, well, why does that make a difference? Well, if you use more spin on slower courts, the court's going to really take that spin and produce a type of shot that's really difficult to hit. And so if you're playing on a clay court, you probably do want to try to use more spin if it's within your game style. Again, like Djokovic just doesn't do so well on clay, where Nadal is pretty much the king of clay. He's repeatedly shown that because of the spin he can produce on the ball, and other factors also included, that he can really use spin to really make his opponents feel uncomfortable. Whereas Djokovic, on the other hand, when the court's a little faster, hitting through the court is more advantageous. So what do you need to do when you're at home? First of all, understand what's your game style. Are you the type of player that's going to hit through the court more, or are you the type of player who's going to hit more spin? Just know this about yourself, so when you're playing on a faster type court, you can maybe adjust. Now, both these players are so good at adjusting to different styles of the court, meaning that Nadal can scoot in and hit the ball a little flatter when he's on grass, but it's not his natural core tendency. And so that's why you don't see, I think, the same level of success as a Djokovic on a faster surface. But just like Djokovic on a clay court, it's not his natural tendency to hit that same amount of spin that Nadal uses. So when you're out on the court, really focus on what's your type of play or what's your type of usage of spin, and then tailor your tactics and strategies to that. If you're just going to go out and try to hit really flat on a clay court, what's going to happen is that the court is going to slow the ball down, giving your opponent more opportunities. Whereas if you could use a little bit more spin, it probably bounce out of your opponent's strike zone, and it wouldn't be so easy for them to hit the ball. And this is why knowing how your mindset is about using your strokes on each different surface can make a huge difference in your success level when you're playing. So if you want to learn more about how you can improve your strokes, your game, and your strategies, make sure you check out Essential Tennis Academy. We have a free membership. We can go there and get great informational, instructional lessons on how you can improve your strokes and strategies.